guys, it's been a while because my laptop broke, so I unfortunately had to get it repaired, and there's been a bit of a delay on the videos that I'm doing, reviewing the lists of the ETC. Yeah, but let's get on with it again. So we still have some armies to do. I skipped some armies accidentally, mostly because of the formatting in the ETC pack. So I looked for the armies, and then I have to space out um, the letters for some reason for some of these. So we have in Serbia still Alexander Vilutin. Um, he's playing an orc list, which for me personally is a bit less ideal because I don't really like meta type. I don't like to face the orcs with my army personally. Double Iron Orc Loner on Wyvern. I played a guy last year with Double Iron Orc or Double Iron Double Orc on Wyvern, and that did surprise me because he was very aggressive with it. And well, he did have a different loadout on them though, but this can certainly work. Wizmaster Pyromancy, I think this is one of the first of them, but now that you have Cloak of Cinders and Flaming Swords, it might as well be worth it. And then just big blocks of orcs. Think the only thing that I would say this list missed is in terms of how the orcs play is some delaying tactics. Like I would have included the double racking teams, just to make more use, maybe controversially, of the minimized discipline of the orcs. Because the wrecking teams, they basically take away the first 2 turns of the game, forcing your opponent to deal with them. And then afterwards, if they end up in your orcs and they have 2 turns less in that sense, then they are way less likely to get through the orcs. So if I would play an orc only list, I would definitely include 2 wrecking teams. Otherwise, it's a solid list. You have all the pieces that you need, basically. Chaff, only being Grotlings, can be a little bit limited in mobility, but it's also based on playstyle. So if this works for you, then yeah, it's a decent list. It's a nice and fluffy list, I would say, with just a lot of orcs there. And I wish you the best of luck at the tournament. We also had one other orc that was spaced out differently. Harnock Loner on a Wyvern with the attack Nasher, then a Warlord without the Omen. It's quite cheap for what it does, right? So, and then a big block of Iron Orcs. I don't think Iron Orcs are the way to go. I also don't think that double Great Green Idol is the way to go because they do the same thing. 785 is just too much. It's too much for any unit of infantry with move 4. It is too much. Sure, they are your BSB. Sure, you have a relentless company banner. Sure, you're gonna put in your warlord, and then that's gonna be 1200 points that your opponent has to get. I mean, you can't really lose 20-0 if you don't lose these guys, but you can lose these guys. That is the issue. Like if you have a unit that is more than 1000 points, you have to be sure that you cannot lose it in the game. Yeah. So after these extra orcs, we have the Saurian Ancients. Let's start at the start with Australia, I guess. Australia. Yes. So I have played against Saurians quite sometimes online, mostly. Apparently, it's a popular army to play online. We have an Archmage on Druidism, and then what you often see with Saurians is that you have the Archmage, you have a big block of warriors and a big block of Tagger cards. And the Kaimon warriors in core are just really solid, so I also expect these to see a lot. But then this is kind of like a stable army that has a couple of different things that it can do. But same as with the Iron Orcs, just an Archmage in a unit of Taggy cards, it's 1200 points, and if you add to that another unit of Taggy warriors, then the army becomes quite slow suddenly. The Titanobot can just go into the middle of the board in some matchups, and that is quite nice. Whether it's really worth uh, it's it's an army that can't really charge very well. So if your opponent does give you the charges you want, then it can turn out quite well. If your opponent is a bit more careful, and I think this list like this is going to struggle a bit more. Um, but we generally have very pushy matchups in 9th age anyway. So you will end up in combat, so maybe that's why Saurians don't do that bad. Um, I think it's not gonna be the best list, but it is yeah, just an average list. Then we have Austria with a Alpha Carnosaur. With the I think this is the is this the 5 award? No, this is the flaming thing, right? Let's just have a look. It's in maintenance, so no. I thought it was the I don't know. Then we have an Archmage with the Taggy cards with the Taggy Warriors. Basically the same list, but then with an Alpha Carnosaur and the Titanopod, but without further support. It seems a bit more focused, a bit more optimized. Um, it's a lot of bodies still, like the big Taggy Warriors, the big Taggy cards, then the big blocks of schemes. Can work quite well. I think divination is better than druidism because it actually does something for your army. Um, but yeah, also still the question of whether you want to go for Archmage or whether you just want to go for the champions with Enclave Wizard. I think for me personally, the Enclaves they still win out just because of the 600 point price tag on the Archmage that doesn't do anything, really anything other than magic. Guy. So Guy has brought a little bit of a different list. He's the Belgian player, so I've seen him play with this list as well. It's mostly just a lot of stuff on the table. So you do make use more of the minimized discipline of Saurian Ancients, where you just play your game and you just see what happens. You have too many units for your opponent to cater for. So sure, your opponent can remove first turn your 3 units of gorillas, and they can be quite useful in that matchup. Sure, it doesn't matter. You still have the 3 Tyrus and you still have all this other stuff everywhere. Um, so I think it will lead to very interesting, very enjoyable games with a lot of stuff dying. Probably in the end, it will not score 20 zeros that easy. But then again, do you have to? Not really, not really. Um, so I think it's a good all-comers list, just because you have so much different stuff. And an alchemy master that I'm more of a fan of in a list like this, especially. Word of Iron in this list is not that great because you don't really have anything that you can effectively protect with Word of Iron except for the big Taggy Warriors. But otherwise, yeah, Silver Spike is solid, Quicksilver Lash is solid, Corruption is solid. Um, so yeah, that's gonna be the magic setup. Then we have Rasmus Budde. So we have a lot of Archmages so far, don't we? And the funny thing is that they've had 4 different lores so far. So we have had Alchemy, Divination, Druidism, Avocation. I think that is all of them that they have access to. Then we have it's a bit of a different setup here. So you have the Archmage, you don't have the Temple Guard. You do have the Tyrus Cutises and the Stygiosaurs. So the Tyrus Cutises are the armor 5 ones with the magnetic great bow, cool, and the Stygiosaurs are the combat dudes. These units they pack a punch. They hit a bit harder than you would expect, I would say. These hit a bit softer than you would expect. Um, Units of 4 Warriors are interesting, I think. I've also played around a little bit with Sylvan Elves now, and just the mobility that you get from going 2 wide is compared to 3 wide it's a massive change. And still, I think they can do quite decently. So this is maybe a hidden gem in the book, I would say. But then again, you can also run the Cayman Elders but they're like 400 points over 200 points. This is actually this is something not a lot of players picked up on, I think. We have Finland with Yesemarona. We have a duplicate lore for an Archmage. We have alchemy. So yeah, there's a lot of different items, and I don't know all of them, and I don't care that much. So we have Taggy Warriors. We have the Taggy cards. Yeah, but this is basically the first list that we saw from Australia. Germany, we have once again the Taggy Warriors, the Taggy card. Different support this time. It's more unit focused than monster focused. So apparently Christian didn't like his monsters getting sniped off the battlefield. He does have the Puakai Sky Tyrant. I think it's a really interesting monster because you can just put it anywhere on the board. But then again, compared to March 18, you can put that anywhere on the board as well, basically. So I think maybe it gives at ETC levels a bit more value than in random matchups, because in random matchups people don't measure out exactly where stuff can go. But on ETC levels, people zone out even the 18-inch flyers. So you can use that to your advantage, but you can't if it's ambushing. So I think that is maybe mostly why it doesn't seem that much play at high levels. I don't know. Take warriors, take guards, big block of common warriors. So the 2 times 4 is 400 points, 1 times 6 is 350. That's quite interesting, yeah. And then we have Italy with a unconventional list compared to the rest. In the Netherlands, we did conclude that the Tega Mystics are actually quite combat capable with the paired weapons, with the all the other stuff that they have. I think their profile is a little bit better than standard Saurus Warriors, so they do get quite a bit more damage going out, really. Triple Skin Gorillas, some matchups will just cry. So yeah, it's one of these things where you can really force the pairing as well. Like in practicality, they don't really have to do that much, maybe, but your pairing steers away from everything that is lightly armored and has high value wounds. And even dragons, like 24 skinks, skink gorillas. So that's like 50 shots with poison every turn. And then you still have all the other skinks everywhere else, obviously. I find it funny that like Saurian Ancients doesn't need to take any characters, and the only character you take is a Teku veteran with a shield and a spear. Like, this is not the cheapest chaff in your book, right? And it's not mobile. This one I don't get, and I'm really curious why you would take it, because does he have a unit of? Can he join the Mystics? I guess so. Also the unit of 4 garments. He cannot join the Mystics, right? Can he? I think he can. What else is he gonna join? Yeah. I'm really curious. I think, yeah, once again, just like the Belgian list, MSU Saurian Ancients works quite well, just because you have minimized discipline everywhere. And it works in a range where you're comfortable with MSU. You like Dreadfleet or Dread Elves with MSU type builds. They also feel quite comfortable in this range, more or less. This is distance. Where you have some combat and some stuff breaks and some stuff doesn't break, and then it's basically a dice game that you play, right? You average, you make so much engagements that you average out the luck. Like when it goes bad, it's okay, you lose a unit, and when it goes good, then it's really okay because your opponent loses a expensive unit. Latvia, we have a more aggro list, it seems. We have an Alpha Carnosaur, we have Raptor Riders, Raptor Pack. Maybe not as aggro as I thought it would be. We have a Skink, Mountain Pterodon, Chaff Dude. It's quite expensive to be Chaff, right? He has 6 attacks with poison, I believe. And a 2+ armor. 2+ armor is decent. It's like this type of character. What's he gonna do in the game? Like he loses out to any other character. But then he has great mobility, sure. He can go in somewhere with his paired weapons with poison. Oh my god. You can't charge any monsters because she will just plain out lose. Even if monsters only have 3 wounds left, and you will lose. You can take on small units, but you will stack. Now, I don't really see the value in this one by itself, unless in supporting charges. Then the Raptor Riders and the Raptor Pack maybe come in. Don't know how well it pairs with the Raptor Pack, so don't know what the issues are that Raptor Pack have that this King Veteran could solve. But it's, I think it's a more interesting list than some of the Tegu Warrior, Tegu Guard type lists. So yeah, quite interesting. Luxembourg, we have Alberto with an Iraq Archmage with the Tegu Guards, Tegu Warriors, and the big Cayman Brick, Cayman Elders. Yeah, this is like the toy list, right? Like I see my Archmage, I wanna buy it. I see some warriors, I see some Tiger Guard. I also have some Spearback, and I have some Salamanders, and I have some Pterodons because I heard they were good. And I have 8 Skinks because they're also good. And I have a big Dino. Yeah, it's cute, but it's not gonna work that well, I guess. Hitro, Netherlands, unconventional list. Wow. With the list so far, like we go through all these lists, and then I was like, oh, how standard are our lists actually? Well, this is not standard at all. This is not really that standard. It's funny that if you look at the other lists, there's some other people that picked up on the Chosen. Might have made a mistake myself by going triple Chosen, but the value of these units is so high. Having something with a little bit longer threat range would have been nice. Maybe still swap out a unit for Feldrax, but then you can only get 4 Feldrax or something. It's insane. This is unconventional. This is unconventional. This is, yeah, okay, sure. This is quite unconventional, I guess. This is, by now, this is also a bit of a standard. Yeah, so we have a couple of surprises in there, so that's good for us. We have Ryan Simister from New Zealand. An Archmage, Tiger Warriors, Tiger Gods. He has a bigger unit of Kaima Warriors. Yeah, that's some variation there. He also has a big pet Dino. Yeah, I mean, we've been over that list, right? No way, no way. Archmage. Still quite a lot of Archmages, yeah. Still quite a lot of Archmages. So this guy I get more than the other guy, because then he is more suited for combat. Take a warriors, take a guard. It's practically the same list as the previous one. You can just overlay them and nobody will notice. Poland I would expect to bring something different. We have divination as lore. I think divination is really... Alchemy is good if you play the MSU type list where you just want to do some damage. And divination is combat lore. Druidism doesn't give you the bonuses you need. Evocation gets trumped by alchemy. in general matchups. Because Avocation is really good at sniping, and with Ace in the Hour also removing some high armor values, but then models, but then you might as well take Alchemy. Tech Warriors with Common Mentors, Skinks with Common Mentor, 3 Common Mentors, Take Guards, Raptor Pack, Pterodons, then it's the first Door Sword. This is the Aegis against shooting, right? Yeah, it will be interesting to see what Poland does with the army like this. Kind of boring still. Gonzalo! Yeah, I'm just gonna skip over the ones with the Archmage, with the warriors, with the guards. So it's basically the same list that we already reviewed. I must say that Saurian Ancients does have a bit of an excess of samey lists. Like the playstyle is really similar, right? So you have your not very far charging stuff. You have some stuff that can push a bit, like the Stygiusaur. The inclusion of the Tyroscutus with the magnetic great bow, 3 of them. I think that is a good addition to the army. So 600 points might seem expensive. I think Guy from Belgium found out the way to run them with just triple, single Tyroscutus. Because you still get the damage output, but if you lose one, you only lose one. And your opponent cannot really focus on them because they are just hidden in your line somewhere. So Druidism, I wouldn't go for Druidism. Attack Warriors, Attack Guard. It's a solid beat stick, but yeah, we went over the problems. It does have the Tyroscutuses. 3 Common Elders. I think, yeah, it's still good. People still underestimate them. I think it's a solid. I think this is maybe for the build that it is, like the Archmage with the Warriors and the Tegu Guards. And then the support, I think this is maybe the best you can do, yeah. So you have some cheap scoring, you have some utility chaff, you have some magic support. Do they always have a mage though to take mystics, or do you have to buy the champion? Don't know. They are good though for the points that's just 200 points of killiness. Yeah, it's good. It's a good list. Now we have Ukraine with the Alpha Carnosaur. How good is the Alpha Carnosaur? Apparently not that good because not. I think we've seen 3 now. So yeah, against monsters it's quite good. But the typical problem with monsters like a Carnosaur is that it hunts other highly mobile models and it doesn't do any range damage itself. So compared to this, you can have the triple Tyroscutus with magnetic shortbow. It's just playing better, I think. Unless you can do some weird stuff with it, but double Tiger Warriors, that is a first. That is a first. Looks really cool. Looks really cool. It does save up your slot in special with not having Tiger Guard for other stuff, so that is good. But then again, the core stuff in Saurian Ancients is already good enough, I guess. Yeah, so I think I had they're mostly the same price as the Tech Warriors, so yeah, I think I would just take guards instead if I had the choice. Because then your mage can indeed go into the second rank, which I don't think you can in regular warriors. Can you stand behind in regular warriors with an archmage? I don't know. Wales has a lot of warriors and still some more. That's a lot of Tegu. Team Tegu. Divination has the best combat lore for Saurian Ancients. Right, this is just like a traditional style of Saurian Ancients without the wacky stuff that got released later. Like the only, I think you could play this army with entirely with 6th edition fantasy models on their basis. That's the correct basis for all of them except for the Titanopod. So maybe it's a really old army that gets to see play again. That would be nice. That would be really cute. And then we are back at Australia. So that's Saurian Ancients. Then we go to the next one. Oh wait, I have to do my check apparently. No. Sylvan Elves. 12 of them. We start with, no, not with Wales. We start with Jens Ole Jensen. My father-in-law nowadays is Danish, so there's a lot of Danish going around in Christmas. And I was in Denmark like last year, and I couldn't understand any of the conversations that they had in Danish because it's just such a mix of German, Dutch, and all of the other Nordic languages. I would say it's really a remarkable language, but it's a pretty language as well. So it's more pretty than Dutch at least. Jens Ole Jensen, I guess. So, well, yeah, Sylvan Elves, that's what we're looking at. Wizardmaster on Shamanism, don't see it that often. Have we seen any Wizardmasters on Shamanism? Do a check, Master Shamanism. So, 5 Wizardmasters on Shamanism in the entire ETC. Wow. Didn't know that it got hurt so bad, but Break the Spirit is still solid, but Totemic Summon without Breath Weapon is just utterly, yeah, it's just worse. But you will get to surprise people now with summoning Chaff within range of the board edge. So for a corner camping army, it can be actually quite good. With the Apprentice on Druidism, I think this is an auto include in Sylvan Elves because it's 130 points for a chaff piece, and Druidism in Sylvan Elves brings back very valuable wounds, like 2 Wild Huntsmen, 2 wounds on 3 fighters, or Blade Dancer wounds, 4 wounds. Otherwise, yeah, okay, the Sylvan Sentinels and the Pathfinders you can also grow back, that's also worth it. Otherwise, this list doesn't really have that much that is worth bringing back, unless you want to go for the heroes. So this is a build that we also tried, I believe, or at least Team Belgium did try. So with we, I mean Team Netherlands, and Team Belgium is, well, we have some interactions with them. It's a bit closer. So double Forest Prince with great weapons, with the Obsidian Rock, with Pathfinder in a unit of Pathfinders. What do I think of this? I don't value it high enough. So yeah, sure, you have all the character bows that you can get, so there's quite some damage coming out of this. But this is 1,000 points in shooting and another 700 points, 1,700 in shooting. The rest of the list is mostly going to be focused on chaffing and having your opponent stay far away from you. So yeah, it will whittle down your opponent, sure. However, you're only one panic test away from losing 2,000 points in your army, and it's the unit is like 10 wounds with resilience 3. So if your opponent has a fix for that, then yeah, too bad. I guess it can perform really well in certain matchups, but it's really an army you have to pair well, and yeah, objective-wise, it's just a pain. So you have the 8 Dryads, you have the Heath Riders, and the Archers, and that is your scoring. This unit is cool. I always want to include it in Sylvan Elves, and I never end up doing it. Well, it's I don't know. can work, but I would play something different because it's just so incredibly vulnerable. Because also, like in a matchup against me, for example, I have warriors, I have silver spike, I have hellfire that I want to cast. I spend 350 points on my magic phase, so I don't really care about all of the other spells in this matchup. So I'll just put max dice in hellfire, max dice in silver spike, put my wizard on a place where I can hit the pathfinders from the side. So I will chip off 3 pathfinders probably if I get the silver spike, maybe more with the hellfire. I don't care about obsidian rock in this case because I just throw all my dice at it, and yeah, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. Henry Miller from Ireland. I think Wild Huntsman. I think they are also included in Sylvan Elves, but that's also because I haven't played with them myself too often. Pathfinders are once again really good against the right targets, but if your opponent just brings high resilience stuff, like resilience 6 is gonna wreck Pathfinders any day, because you're stuck with the 6 to wound, and that doesn't do enough damage. A lot of different small heroes. What do these guys do? Let's go. So we have a chieftain, great weapon, kingslayer with a potion of swiftness and a blade dancer. Okay, that is quite solid for a 300 point hero. It will do some damage. Now we have a chieftain with a bow, quite standard. We have a chieftain with a mirror, and also blade dancers, so he can teleport the blade dancers. He has a full unit of blade dancers. And then he has a chieftain that can plant the forest. So basically, you can plant the forest, teleport your blade dancers somewhere. It's a cool little gimmick. It's gonna be fun. Then you have 3 druids ready to be sacrificed for the greater good in that form of chaff. Basically, the entire army is just 12 blade dancers. How do you deal with blade dancers? You can shoot them. You can magic them to death. And in combat, how do you deal with it? That's a bit more tricky. It's a bit more tricky. Impact hits, I guess. But then they can take the 3 up Aegis. Yeah, divine attacks. Impact hits with divine attacks. Would work. I think you will avoid the shooting matchups, but then again, a lot of ranged stuff is not that well armored, so maybe that's why the Pathfinders are there. Andres from Latvia. Treefather Ancient. I find it an interesting character. Mostly because it feels so lackluster in combat when I play with it. I like that he has a Treefather Ancient and an Avatar of Nature, and then the rest of the list is also like you still have a Treefather, a really forest-themed list. The Dryads and Khorne, not a single elf in sight. You have some Eve Riders. I hope he has some other models for this than elves, because that would be amazing. That you just have a full tree army. Ticket Beast with the Ticket Shepherd. It's a nice fluffy list. Kudos to Andres. Bringing this, it's gonna look great on the table. Power level wise, trees. Current meta is not good for trees because you have a lot of flaming banners because it's the only combat banner that you can bring. The only banner that boosts combat. So, flaming standard. We have 83 flaming standards across all the lists, but so if you count out the amount of lists people have, people do tend to take multiple if they play alchemy. So you have, well, let's say you have 60 lists with flaming standards. It doesn't make the matchup automatically bad, but it doesn't help the meta for trees in general. So yeah, if I would play trees, I would at least take a druid apprentice with druidism, which he also has, because the healing, just the wounds that you heal, they are quite valuable. And I would play the ticket beast without the ticket shepherd and in units of 4. So you get higher mobility, you have lower costing units, and you don't spend the incredible 300 points on a ticket shepherd. Luxembourg. A lot of shots in core. Oh, should add elves to this. Oh yeah, Elves. Elves. Wizard Master Druidism. I don't know. I've not played against the new Stone Skin, I think, because people just skipped on it. So that's going to be a surprise for me. We have the Hunter's Honor, that is the distracting one, I believe. Forest Rangers, Blade Dancer, Season Blade Dancer. So the question compared to Ireland's list is going to be, is this already enough of an investment in Blade Dancers, or do you need the extra character with the Kingslayer? Ticket Beasts without, with the Ticket Shepherd as well. Once again, I would just go for twice 4, I think. Wild Huntsman also include. Yeah, it's a solid list. Yeah, that's quite a solid list. Mobility-wise, it's a bit less than the one from Henry from Ireland, but it's if your opponent gets to dictate the engagements, then it's gonna go not that great, I guess. But you have your easy chaff fixes in the Forest Eagles. It's such a standard play, right? Like you set out your stuff. Oh, it didn't work out. Oh, I will use my easy way out of chaffing with some eagles. I think design-wise, they should take out Forest Eagles. And units like Forest Eagles. But we also bring them in Team Netherlands. We have a lot of Rangers, because Rangers are amazing with a flaming standard. New Zealand. I think the Bow of Wiskin is interesting, but it is expensive, because it's like 100 points or so. So it has a bit of an issue, because you want to put it on a character with a high aim. So basically you want to put it on your BSB, but then your BSB wants to also take other stuff like Double Aether Icon, Obsidian Rock. Don't know why he has it in this list, because I don't see a single unit that I would give magic resistance for. Because people will just cast at something else, right? Like if you put it in the Force Rangers, yeah, sure, I'll just either throw all my dice or I'll just cast something at the Forest Guard. But maybe his Forest Rangers died to magic all the time and he wanted magic resistance for. But then you end up putting the Bow of Wiskin on a Druid, which suffers from long range, so you only add on 4 up or something, which is then suddenly a very expensive item. And so you want it on a Chieftain basically, but then again, Watcher's Woe is also decent enough. So I would say that the Bow of Wiskin is not really worth it in that sense. We have a Magic Celeb, sure. Forest Guard, quite some big blocks. Oh well. Whenever I play 23 elves, then I'm like, oh, this unit is not that big. And whenever other people play it, I'm like, oh, that's a chunky unit. It's a matter of interpretation, right? Castral Knights. I don't think they strike hard enough. And I think this is a 20-0-0-20 type of list. It's nothing stable enough that you can really rely on it, and like it doesn't have enough units to really clog up the game and play MSU, and the units that it has are too expensive to lose, and they need support, all of them. So it's MMU basically. Yeah. But the units are too expensive for you to lose them. Um, so I'm not that big of a fan. I don't know if it works with Sylvan. Like with Dread Elves, this can still work because your combat power of your units is still high enough. With Sylvan Elves, I doubt it. Like the only real scary thing in the list is the Forest Rangers in terms of combat damage output. Wild Huntsmen are cute, but 5 Wild Huntsmen don't go through something if your opponent has to. If your opponent has stuff that they go through, then your opponent focuses on them, and you don't have 5 Wild Huntsmen anymore. But as throwaway units, these are great. Can play MSU Sylvan Elves quite well. Yeah, not a fan. Then we have Thomas with another forest list. It's basically the same as the previous one. Well, we already talked about that. And then we have Scotland. This is the type of list that I would have expected to see more often. Like in core, you want to have some shooting. This is it's funny. I see myself in this list of like how I build a list. Like you start with Sylvan Elves, and you're like, right, sure, what do we need? We need some shooting in core because that makes sense. Okay. I don't want to spend too much on shooting those, so because these guys are quite expensive, right? So like 25 shots, yeah, should do it. So then, yeah, sure, we'll include a chaff unit. What else do we have? Well, we have some points left to fill out the core. Okay, we'll take a combat unit, so whether it's Dryads or a forest card doesn't really matter. Then, what's good in Sylvan Elves? Yeah, Wild Huntsman, so let's take 2 units of those. 5 is not enough, so I'll take a little bit more. And then you get to the point where you are going to build the rest of the list. This is my way of building list. And then you can go either for the forest sprints with the pathfinders or for any other option. I would assume that there's different loadouts, different things in Sylvan Elves that you can do to make it better than this. Like if you just go for the cheap stuff in core, basically, like why would you take the Sylvan Archers in core if you have such a strong ranged game uh, in special list? So we said we want the Pathfinders, 10 of them, and you want 10 of the other guys, Wula, 10. And you want a Forest Prince with the Pathfinder and some other stuff. So this is basically this could be the start of your army. Don't know if you can see it actually in Pathfinders. You want to support Wild Huntsman, sure. That also makes sense, I would say. Because they're great at zoning, right? So you do want to pop some shields on them. Do you want command? Do you want a charm? Need anything else? No, not really. Then in core I would just put in forest card, I guess. Just play the MSU game. Yeah, like how many units can you? 1, 2, 3, 6 units of forest card. I think why you want one bigger unit basically. If you take one at whatever 30, I think this looks better. Battle of Deception. Oh yeah, that's quite cool. But usually the problem with the Battle of Deception is that you already put in stuff. That doesn't really matter. Relentless Banner. Relentless is always good. How cheap are Forest Guard? It's really insane. So if you have this list, so you do have your, well, you still have 1500 points left, basically, but I think this is a better setup for the core and for the rest if you want to further expand on this. So obviously you add magic and stuff, but I would just chock it full of Forest Guard. Then you have all the bodies you need to delay the game. You have units to sacrifice. You can put some more Relentless on, so your scoring game is also quite good. I think it's way better than these guys. Triads are expensive then. Yeah, so I would play this differently. Vladimir. It's a cool army though, like 6 units of Sylvan, Forest Guard, and then the champions, and you're gonna be a little bit steadfast sometimes. Vladimir Kuchik, Siberian from Serbia? Serbia. This is basically the same list, but with smaller units of huntsmen, smaller units of buff, and this is not the same list. It doesn't have the damage output from the special. So this relies a bit more on the core shooting, which I think in most matchups is good enough. The points that you make free with that, you get 6 ticket beasts and 11 blade dancers. So you downgrade your shooting, you get 2 decent combat units. I think that makes sense. I think that makes perfect sense. Well done, Vladimir. Sylvan Elves. Victor from Switzerland. Druidism Master, Apprentice Shamanism. We have the Bow of Wiskin on a Chieftain. Yeah, cool. Dryad Ancient General. Wow, you don't see that very often. I mean, the Druid has Discipline 8, I guess. The Chieftain is the BSB, so yeah, why not? I don't know what the Discipline is, but that makes sense if this guy is Discipline 9. Divination also makes sense if you have only Discipline 8 in your army. I don't know how bad it goes generally with Discipline for this specific army, but I think that, well, the Dryads are fearless, right? The Huntsmen are fearless. This doesn't take any tests because it's either dead or, yeah, or the game is up anyway. So it's mostly the Forest Rangers. I think it's a cool little MSU list. It's funny how the points really disappear in Sylvan Elves if you do this. Like, this is not. This is kind of nothing. All these units are kind of nothing, which is okay, but they're also not that many wins. Over the door. Castrol Knights. Castrol Knights seems suboptimal, but probably quite fun to play though. Like light troops and 18-inch march. Can really bug out people. Blade dancers to finish the job. No emergency eagle chap. So this guy knows how to play. From Ukraine. Yeah. That's a bit of a different list. Quite cool. Don't know if the Castrels hit hard enough compared to Wild Huntsman, for example. Wild Huntsman, hey. Yeah, so this feels a bit of an upgrade over the other one. Most Wild Huntsmen are just too strong on the charge. Back at Jens. So that was Sylvan Elves. Let's see, the next one is Undying Dynasties. It's also an interesting army. Wait, is there any? No. No. Okay. trying to not skip any list here. Belgium, Austria, Australia. Frederick. So Frederick, organizer of the tournament, I believe still. He usually brings a bit of a wacky army in Team Australia because he joins anyway, so he doesn't have to prove himself to get included in any EGC team. So he has free reign of what he wants to play, which is beautiful. It's like one of the people at the ETC which you know that there will be a wacky list, which is really fun. So this time he went for a commander of the Terracotta Army. That is cool in itself. So the Pharaoh, as the crown of the Pharaoh, is making him the Hierophant, I believe. He has another Pharaoh um, with a sandstorm cloak. That is amazing. You don't see Scourge of Kings on a Pharaoh very often. Don't know if this stays at Resilience 8 or 6. I don't know. No, Godslayer is quite big. No magic. Oh, he does have magic. Well, does he have magic? Oh, it's also Hierophant. He does have magic. Is he gonna blow up his Hierophant? Just throw in all the dice. I think I would have brought a casket in this list just to support the magic a little bit with a bounce spell. Big unit of chariots because they're just solid. Do they need magic support? I would say yes. Skeleton cavalry, totally worthless unit, I would say. But then again, 180 points, so it's just chaff. Don't know if there's also like the guys with the bows. Don't think these are bows. Small unit of Necro Guard. I guess the Pharaoh goes in, and then when he wants to, he just flies out. This is the thing that I noticed a lot with Dread Elves and food characters. So you have a unit of, I don't know, 300 points, 500 points, whatever. You put in a character and you more than double the price of the unit. So you're like, okay, I can lose my my unit of 15 Judicators, no worries. You have your BSB in there, so suddenly if you lose the unit, you lose like 1200 points. It's insane. And triple swings. Well, quadruple swings really, because he has a Shard Guardian. Why play Terracotta if you play triple swings? Because they don't get anything from that, I believe. Maybe because it's good. Doesn't add any cost to them. And your Necro Guard goes to Resilience 5, so that's nice. Well, yeah, quadruple Dread Sphinx really focuses up on these Sphinxes. It's a fun list. It's definitely not the best UD list and very independent. So yeah, if it goes into the skin clouds, then it's gonna cry probably. This is more what I would expect people to play. So we have the Wizard Master, Wizard Adept with a distribution of lores. Pharaoh, Destiny's Call, Godslayer with the best wrappings to lose Flammable, I believe. Then the Scourge of Kings, Harbinger. This is, if I have to predict, then this 90% of the list is going to bring, as well as one unit of Necro Guard at least. Core, I would still assume that a lot of people still play the Chariots, because this unit in the end it doesn't do anything. 20 skeletons with the Entombed is solid. 20 skeleton or 10 skeleton calf with the same banner is also solid now. Oh, yeah, it's the skeleton scouts that have the bows. Double Necro Guard, I don't know. be a bit too much, but Necro Guard are really good. So yeah, you can with the magic support that Undying Dynasties has, it's really good. It's really good. It's a solid list. Biggest downside is that people have to fly into your Necro Guard. Belgium, Jonathan, your name with the triple Sphinx. Yeah, basically it's just triple Sphinx, but then still with Necro Guard. This unit it's just such a tanky unit. Yeah, so yeah, basically it's the same character setup. You still have the Necro Guard, and then you add a triple Sphinx to it. Yeah, works. Rasmus has MSU Undying Dynasties. Wouldn't expect to see this, to be honest. He plays Cosmology and Avocation because he has twice 6 chariots. Why do I say that? Avocation has a reroll to wound on all your impact hits and combat attacks. And Cosmo has +1 strength. So that is what you take with that for sure. Mage Bunker. Crown of the Pharaohs. What is the apparently the forum is a bit down, but what does the Crown of the Pharaohs do? Does it extend your inspiring presence range? Let's see. Undying Dynasties. No mark with the Crown of the Pharaohs. Here it is. Commanding presence +6. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. So you have a. Oh, that's the wrong one. This one. You have an 18-inch March bubble. So that's something you need in this list. I would expect like a character like one of these Sand Snake characters with a Crown of Autocracy. That would help this list, I guess. As triple Sand Stalkers. It's funny that you cannot march most of the time, and you still you still play MSU. Except the archer is not good enough. You have 9 shots, so that is one. No, that's 3 hits, but don't think it's good enough. Battles, yeah, it's an interesting list, that's for sure. It looks really MSU-y, and then I think it's a bit of a surprise because you have the 2 grindy combat units. You have the Sphinxes to support. Colossus is good as well, but mobility-wise, it kind of. It's. I think you need to play quite well to get this working, but maybe Rasmus plays really well with the list, and then he's gonna score a lot of points. Hughes Garland, Wizard Master, Wizard Apprentice Divination. Okay, he goes cheap on the magic. That's fine. Small units of skeleton chariots. I haven't seen those in a while. Just because the 3 extra chariots they bring so much value and survivability to your units. We do have the Necro Guard. Don't have the Pharaoh. Makes a big difference, to be honest. And Triple Sphinx. I think Yilmi's list from Belgium was better than this one. Because of the Pharaoh. Yeah. So, Yilmi's Pharaoh, by the way, is also on a horse. So he can go in the unit, but he can also just walk around by himself, which is definitely an upgrade. Ossi from Finland. Double arc. I don't see the value in double arc. Because the only thing it does is extend your range. Doesn't make your wizards more survivable. Because they can suddenly be targeted all the time. Crit Espen Blue. Pharaoh on a chariot in a unit of chariots. I think he's better on a horse. generally, but maybe in the army it's better. What does this army want to do? Basically, it wants to whittle you down a bit over time, and then zone you with the chariots, I guess. I would gladly play this army because the only thing you have to do is just chaff the chariots one turn because they have too big of a footprint to be reliable um, on the table. So you chaff the chariots, you go in with the rest, just forward. You get charges next turn, and then I think that should work for a lot of combat armies. Louis Duquet from France. Vive la France. Pharaoh on a horse. No. Then we have the magics. We don't have a master. We just have an adept and an apprentice. That is strange for UD, and I think you need a master. But maybe he makes it work. Wizard adept divination. What do you take? You take no die enemy. And I guess just stars align then. Yeah. Would it be worth it in UD to play like a unit of 30 archers and cast stars align on them? No. No, because you get 30 shots, you hit on 5s, it's 10 hits, the stars align gives you a reroll, gives you 6 extra, it's 6 strength 3. Wow, oh my god. No, not worth it. Hopping look at that. Some chaff. Feels a bit like a downgrade of some of the other lists. Like this unit, I would sacrifice it to. I would turn this list into Ilmi's list from Belgium. Long list, isn't it? So we have the Godslayer dude. Just a solid dude. With magic setup, Tomb Harbinger, as we said at the start. Double banner of the Entombed, yeah, sure. Because you don't want to use your core. I'm missing the unit of chariots because they're still solid. Double Necroguard. Double Charnel Catapult. I see the value in this. It's quite good. Remember the times where you could shoot twice during a turn with a Charnel Catapult because you could do that with Tomb Kings in Warhammer Fantasy. That was amazing. We have Undying Dynasties from Italy. So a bit more magic in the form of a Wizard Apprentice on Cosmo. Put a +1/-1 to hit. He cannot take any other spell. It's a chaff piece. Is there any reason to take any other lore? No, because you want evocation and divination. And you want to keep these spells. So he's not gonna cast a spell. It's just the cheapest that you could get. I also played like a Jaffomancer, which is a Necromancer level 1 with the Ranger's boots. just a Jaff one turn. But VC has cheaper alternatives that seem better. No, I played an Alchemy. Yeah. So that in the matchups where you need Quicksilver Lash, it's really good. And if you don't, then you have a piece of Jaff. I think it was quite smart, even if I say so myself. Pharaoh with Godslayer, Necroguard. We see a lot of units with combat characters. That's funny that the meta has shifted towards that. Like you see the Necroguard, you see big orc units, you see what else do you see? Well, that argument fell. That's back. Well, you see a lot of them. The double Sandstalkers is interesting because you don't see them that often. And the Scarab Swarms. You need evocation with that. There's like little things in lists where these are the rules, right? Like scarab swarms, okay, avocation. It's just out of the way. William, so we have a pharaoh on a skeleton chariot. We have a big unit of chariots. I mean, at some point with these lists, you have seen. I'm just gonna explain it a bit more. So you have the skeleton, the pharaoh in this case with Godslayer, but in this case on the chariot, so he goes into the unit of chariots. For the rest, we have the same magic setup. We have the Tomb Harbinger that goes into the Necro Guard, and we have the Triple Sphinx. That is basically that is how you read that list. This list, magic setup, yes. He says Wizard Master, Avocation, Scarab Swords. He does have the grindy block of skeletons. This is still a bit of. There's no agreement on whether it's good to bring a skeleton target or not. I think with Undying Dynasties it's better than with VC. Because with VC, if you heal back, you don't get a combat buff. And with Undying Dynasties, you do. I think anyway, the magic of Undying Dynasties is way better than Vampire Covenant. Necro Guard, Triple Tomb Cataphract, all with special ambush. That is interesting. So to what extent is it going to be possible to rush him? Not really, I think. Because you can just put stuff in between. Unless if you have a dragon, how annoying is that for him? I think it's okay. He only has avocation to deal with the dragon. USA, Andrew. So he has one Arc of Ages. People usually play them in doubles to both get the ranged advantage, but you don't really need to. That's true. Maybe one Arc is also good. Great weapon, Godslayer. A lot of the Barrow Legion. That's a first. So the Barrow Legion Scab Swarms are the supernal ones with the 3 up Aegis and 5 up against magic attacks. They're actually quite good. I played against Andrew specifically with the Barrow Legion, and I was quite impressed with what it does. Like it gives heavy armor to the Necro Guard, which is solid. It's not too expensive. It's like 26 points for a unit. That's just solid. These guys are useless though. So I would have done the core different. With Barrow Legion, you do sacrifice the ability of Banner of Entombed kind of stuff and special ambush. But these guys, I don't understand why it doesn't bring bigger units of these. Because you anyway have your Wizard Master Avocation, so you can help them out quite well. But they really, against magic even, they don't even struggle that much. Like they still bring too many wins for your opponent. I think this is a cool list. Definitely cool. And Pharaoh in that block is just too strong. Argentina again. So that was it for Undying Dynasties. I guess it's gonna be Vampire Covenant time. There's one with a weird spelling. Adam, USA. I have to load vampires into my brain now. Double vampire count, and then the rest of the army. So the rest of the army is quite MSU type. We know from the past that this works. We also know from the past that it can go south really, really quickly, especially if you don't have any role fixing on your accounts, is my experience. So Streakoy is fine because you have the hatred, so you reroll that. He's gonna be. It's also. I thought it would be the double flying count kind of shenanigans like double cowboy. It isn't. Because this guy goes into the ghouls. This guy. Where does this guy go? I guess in the unit with the Court of the Damned. In the skeletons then. That makes it a completely different list. Generally, it's not mobile enough. Vampire spawn you can draw out, they will evaporate over time. I think it's worse than if these guys were cowboys. I would have made them cowboys. Like, this is too expensive for characters that only have like 5 attacks without any benefit. And sure, it's your magic as well, but you have 2 wizard added. This is the vampire count problem. You pay too much for your magic, and you don't even have high channel values now. He has channel 2 in this list. Not good enough. I would not play that. 16 of them. Plus 1, so 17. We have a vampire count apprentice. Ghoul Lord. So that's the second Ghoul Lord. I don't know what happened with Ghoul Lords, but apparently it's a bit more popular. Like last year there weren't any, I think. What happened to Strigoi? Apparently it's better now. Maybe it just got cheaper. Could be. Necromancer on a Cadaver Wagon, you don't see that very often. Only has 4 wounds and can be targeted in the unit, I believe. So 1 unlucky cannon shot and your Necromancer's gone. That's the downside. Or that's the 5 wounds maybe. But you can be targeted. A Cadaver Wagon is not that bad. If you bring it, I would bring Cast for sure. If people don't have tools to really snipe out stuff or take out specific parts, like the Necromancer, unlike the Count. If people can kill your Count, then it's gonna be tough. And also, against armor, you will struggle a bit. Wizard added on alchemy doesn't seem to be sufficient, I would say. I'm a bit less of a fan. I would have set it up differently. So Kai does have the double vampire count cowboy setup. Sangreal, Crimson Rage, Sangreal, Eternal Duelist. So that is reroll to hit, battle focus, and reroll to hit, reroll to wound or something. So that it's just solid. It's really solid. So you do spend quite some points to make sure that they really do what they need to do. But that is worth it. Reaper's Harvest. I never realized it, but Reaper's Harvest with Crimson Rage Sangreal is actually pretty solid. Mostly against stuff that doesn't cause fear. And it's not fearless. Just hit on 2s, wound on 2s. It's yeah, these guys have to survive. If they don't, then all the rest of the list is just gonna evaporate. But it's a nice list. So this is auto include, I guess. I don't know if you need 8, but just very cheap magic. Oh. Only channel 1 in the list, but he doesn't care. Can imagine. Every time I look at VC, I see the core and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's good not to play VC anymore because the core sucks so bad. Like, you can try to do this, but they will just evaporate. Check, yeah. I used to play Court of the Damned Skeletons with a Vampire Courtier with a BSB with another Legion Standard, and that was, in the end, that wasn't too bad because you still get some damage output from the core, you still get court, you still get some damage output from the Courtier, and then you still have a static combat res of 8 or something. So that was a fun unit to play. maybe I should try VC once again. Like, played it with one count as a cowboy, but maybe the double cowboy is quite cool. Could be cool. That's one for days. This is a lot of chaff. On this colossal zombie dragon as well. Didn't see that. Stormcaller, not worth it. Played with it, not worth it. Basically, you try to solve a problem that you just have to admit that it's a problem. This is this is not gonna go well. Basically, so I now also I play with the dragon, and I played with the vampire dragon before. The issue the vampire dragon has is that it has to perform. So if you take 4 wounds on your dragon, then the match is lost. You can't do anything with your dragon anymore. You spend the rest of the game trying to heal it up, but the rest of the army can't do stuff because this doesn't kill stuff. Christopher Lisholm from Denmark. We see quite some variation in the lists, which is fun. Zombie dragon. So wizard, it's a lich. So if you're a lich, you get the hereditary for free, I think. Unbreakable will, so yes, stubborn. I tried that. It's okay. It's okay. That's it. But I must say, rates in there. Yeah, this. You need the other. Where's the other guy that can do some more magic? Here's magical movement. Yeah. Okay, so you try to force through your magical move, sure. If people know how to play against raids, then you have a problem. If they don't, then you don't have a problem. The way to play generally against raids is to just divide up your army in 2 parts. Have a first wave and a second wave. So the first wave goes to the opponent, threatens them. So generally you want units that on the charge they can still perform good enough to wreak havoc on your opponent. Trying to force your opponent to use his magical move with the raids, then he has to go through, and then you countercharge with the second wave. And then you get the raids, and they are dead. England. So Necromancer, Vampire Chase. So with this setup, you don't have any combat power coming out of your heroes, which is an issue for Vampire Covenant. Well, it could have been more expensive still. Like, I'm realizing all the time again that Vampire Covenant is not the army for me in that regard. Like, you don't have any combat power anywhere really, except in the characters, and the characters are too important. Vampire Spawn has a main combat unit. I think this is just gonna evaporate, but that could be me. Julius, we have a dragon or something? Nope, not even a dragon. Just a wizard master from occultism. This look at this. This is the issue with VC. 920 points for a wizard master. And compared to a Anurag Archmage, you pay 1.5 times the cost. The advantage that you have is that you have multiple wounds against characters with your 5 strength 7 attacks. That's not pretty, is it? No, it's not pretty. Vampire count, wizard adept. And Ghoul Lord. First, another 700 points. This is 1500 points. Channel 2 and 6 spells. Jaffa Monster, let's go. So he does have quite some range damage built in there. He does have the double altars. Question is, why would you not play triple banshees? Because this is way too costly. But if you take off all the equipment of this guy, you can play triple Banshee. That would be cool with this. That would be better, I think. Ireland! God, that's the thing. Vampire count on a shrieking horde, that is quite ballsy. Because it is less survivable than the dragon, and it has also a big footprint. I've seen it work. Funny thing is that you can drop at well, if you drop at the start, then your opponent knows where he's gonna be. If you counter deploy, it's an interesting piece because people have to stay away from it, and it can always march, so it does work on the flanks. Whereas a shrieking horde doesn't really work on the flanks because you don't get to march unless you bring a black coach, but it becomes a really expensive combination. Black coaches are gone everywhere. It's incredible. What else? So do we have some movement going on? Yeah, we have some movement going on. I think the best way to play raids is this way, where you just have the movement spell and your Wizard Master Avocation. So you have Dance Macabre. This is Perception and Deceptive Glamour, I think. No Raven's Wing, right? Don't think so. But then, yeah, you don't invest too much into the raids. Like 400 points is already enough. It's, and then if you can pull it off, it's nice. If you can't, well, it should be fine. It's mostly a zoning thing anyway. The Shrieking Horrors are also a zoning thing. So double Shrieking Horror and raids really polarizes the matchups, I think. With some people really liking the matchup and others really not at all. Triple Banshee, first time we see it. I'm not surprised. It's always a staple. I would expect avocation for the -1. Resilience, and then they can shoot quite nicely. Would have expected a bit more chaff maybe, but yeah, I think this can work if you know how to play vampires. Which with this list I don't know. He does go for the full movement game and only Tome Wizard Master and the champion there. I think people underestimate how much the attribute of witchcraft actually matters with raids. Like you can give a double attribute on the raids and you basically do the same, but you still get your magic phase. Sebastian from France, Luxembourg. Vampire Count, Stray Eagle Lord. That's the third or fourth? Fourth, I think. Wizard Master of Alchemy, yeah. It's funny that you don't see that much in VC. This guy is 750 points. It's too expensive. Yeah, so this is the tanky build, so the Crab Wagon with the ghasts and the ghouls in front, zombies to just get stuff stuck in combat, and some quick scoring darts. It's a concept that can work, but generally against good players, they decide whether they want to go in or not. So this specifically against me with my Chosen is a bad matchup because of the Paragard, because I have multiple wins. Vampire Count on a Skeletal Steed, is that it? He's gonna go into the Baronites, I think. Baronites are, I played around with them, they're just not good enough. Like they do raise back quite well, but then the thing with vampires is that if you can always raise, sure, but if you raise then you lose your magic buffs. And that you cannot afford generally. So you think you can make a raise list, you can, but then you just play zombies. And then you get a very boring matchup. We have a Gorge. Because even if you have just one race that you want to do, then you want to spend 2 dice on it. Your opponent's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So you do get your 4 knights back, yeah. Whoop-de-doo. Burger King, he does invest quite a bit into this Paranoid block. The Vampire Coche might go into the Barricade. Don't know why you would though. This feels quite slow. In general matchups, this doesn't really work, I think. Power with the Vampire Covenant as well. He doesn't spend any points on expensive counts. He instead goes for a magic setup, and then he just goes for cowboys. Cheap cowboys. Cheap. Well, not even cowboys. They don't have any mobility, so they just go into a unit. What unit would you choose? Maybe Barricade. I mean, he has a 3 of armor save with these guys. There was a time where they were like 140 points or something, and I just ran them naked. Just for the 4.5 attack, so I recorded them. And that was quite fun because then, yeah, you have just so many characters that your opponent is really flabbergasted. It is a lot, yeah. Thing is, some things don't really care about combat damage. There's always a thing. No, but yeah, this funny. The positive thing about it is that they're all chaff pieces as well, but they do add their attacks to a unit if you just put them in a unit. He does have 3 units that he can skip to. That is quite fun. I think it is a list that will surprise people, because nobody really plays like this, and then it's the annoying thing of Undying Dynasties where you finally get to the meat and potatoes of the list after going through everything, and then they go like, okay, here's my wizard for you, old chef. Yeah, thanks. That guy can do the same. Scotland, a vampire count, wizard, master on occultism, and a vampire count. Strigoi, mysteries of the night, but no ghoul lord. What? How does this one work? What does this do? Why do you spend 600 points on this? I don't know. He's gonna make skeletons or a Belgard probably great again with the commandment. Great weapons are solid. That unit will do a lot of damage because you go to offense 6, defense 6. Great weapons +1 to hit. Solid. On true thirst to heal your unit. If people manage to kill your count, you're in a bit of trouble though. But the key is to kill the count there. Thunderbat, this is just solid as well, right? Like, this is just a solid pick in the book. Because even against magic, it's still solid. Spain, Spain, Spain. We have a count with Sangreal. Does he have a mount? No, he does not. Why would you bother with a 730 point wizard adept with some combat capabilities? Well, maybe if he goes into skeletons, he can raise them back with 3 thirst. So you're gonna go into the Barricade and turn a 150 point unit into a 900 point one. Yeah, maybe. Why do you have this count? I really don't get this. It's not good. No, no, it's not good. I don't know. Is this cowboy, I guess? Why would you not take the Barrow King? Can he go in a unit? He cannot go in a unit. What are you doing, Spain? What is this? I don't understand. Necromancer, sure. I don't understand this list. Yeah, but sure, yeah, Basalt Infusion, but some people will still just cast Quicksilver Lash on you and you'll silver spike, and then you're still done for. If I would play this list, it would go really bad. Because with MSU generally, I would rely on being able to flee. Can't flee. Albert. Zombie Dragon. I think a Zombie Dragon, I might play a Sangreal at this point just to make sure that you get the combat damage output. But then you might as well play your Monster's Revenant so you get the save. Vampire Coach. Double Dark Coach, that's been a while. Shrieking Horror, but then without any of the movement tricks. I think I would replace this one with the Spectral Hunters with the Mage. Mizu, the most expensive character in VC for now. So we have a Colossal Zombie Dragon. Still only 6 wounds, resilience 6. Eternal Duelist. Wow. Will do some damage in combat. Question is, will it matter? Maybe not. Yeah, just standard core more or less. We have Varklux. First time we see Varklux again. Cadaver Wagon at 250, so that means that Necromancer of 500 points is really too expensive. I would just play a separate Cadaver Wagon at that point, yeah, if you really want it. But then I would be inclined to take Ghasts as well. You can also do it like this. That's interesting. Ukraine. Going through these vampire covenant lists, I do get some ideas for VC myself again, and a bit of enthusiasm, so that's good. Zombie Dragon. I'm never gonna play Zombie Dragon again. Monsters Revenant. I would rather play Monsters Revenant. Relentless Banner Skeletons. Cool. Quarter Damned. That has some tools, but it's interesting. But it's not. Don't think this is it. We go to Australia again. It's time for a new army because I've seen too many VC now. Vermin Swarm and Warriors of the Dark, what's left? So let's go Vermin Swarm. We have Estanis from Argentina. What do I expect from Vermin Swarm? Well, their shooting has been toned down a lot, so I don't expect that much shooting anymore. I do expect some rotary guns, maybe some mellows with some sales. That's gonna be about it. But I do expect nearly every list to bring the Secrets of the Doomblade, either this or the Triple Assassin Squad. And at least one unit of Black Fur veterans, sometimes two. And that is mostly it, what I expect. I have heard people say that it's an auto include now for Vermin Swarm to bring a Ruinous Dictator because otherwise you don't get the discipline. However, it does make the army quite vulnerable to some things. So it plays a bit different than before, but we will see what we get. We get probably always also 3 wizards. Yeah, so we have the first list here. We have 3 blocks of infantry. Also seems a normal amount. Then we have the Mammallo Brutes with the halberds and paired weapons and shields, so they can basically choose what they take. Sacred Aquila gives you battle focus, I believe. It's a decent unit. Yeah, I don't know. I guess people by now know what to expect from this type of list and how to beat it. So I wouldn't say it is best, but I think Vermin Swarm needs to surprise their opponents. And I think anyway that double black fur is better than the Legionnaires, because a lot of really combat units in the game don't really care about Legionnaires, but they do care about black furs. Like the Legionnaires are good if you have a wizard that you want to protect, and then they give a very decent bunker with the spears. They still do quite some damage output that is meaningful against harassing units. Dictator, Magic Setup, Doomblade, Triple Assassin, he has both of them, so you can fit that in. Is that good? Yeah, that's good, I think. Then Triple Ratchet Mouse Rifle makes sense. I think this is the list that I would get to if I would try to optimize Vermin Swarm. So yeah, good. Well, good list. Cedric, Malak. I played against Malak a couple of times now. It's a nice guy. Secret of Blue, yeah, we talked about this already. Black furs, yeah, you need those. So this is also kind of standard then. Double Marmilla Brutes, that is what sets apart the army. So he has found some points. He has found 1300 points. 1300 points to put this in. Yeah, makes sense. It's quite a logical pick as well. So you have your 3 combat units with the Black Furs, the Marmillos, and the Marmillos. I wonder where the core points went. This is core. 500, yeah, you do have 1125, I think. It's just that you normally see an extra unit there. That's strange. Kim from Denmark. Like, this is also the extra unit that I would expect. But then, yeah, you need some more unit to put your wizards in, I guess. Don't know how this guy does it, because he does have like a swarm priest just on foot. Probably just goes into the unit. Whispering Bell. I don't know if it still gives us 6 up Aegis and 12 inches, but that was good. That was good. He does have the Doomblade, he does have a Chazil Prefect with the Orb to give an extra +1 to wound, so that is something crazy. Marmillos, it's kind of the same. So he went for the experimental weapons instead of the double cannon, but I think the double cannon is better. Joe Finn from England has brought the Ruinous Dictator, the priests, the assassins. He goes for the double experimental weapon setup. So basically, you can have one turn where you can really go crazy, then your opponent has to have a solution to your stuff, or he will have to endure the rest of your shooting as well. Still think the cannons are better because they're more reliable. I'm sure they will disappear over time, but compared to this, I would rather have triple cannon. France, Mammoth Brutes are the thing that we see this year, man, everyone. So yeah, it's the same list. Ruinous Dictator with the magic support, the Secrets of the Doomblade, you don't have the Assassins, you do have a Praetorian Brute though. To give Swift Strike to the Brutes, which is actually something I would include, definitely. Twice Black Furs, because this guy knows where the power is in Vermin Swarm. And the double things. Hula. I did that. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the best so far. This is the best, I guess. Maybe people disagree with me, please let me know. We have a dictator, we have only 2 mages. That is quite unique for Vermin Swarm. But yeah, there's no need to take the third if you don't need it. So maybe someone in Italy said, "Oh, what if you take out the third mage?" And people were like, "Yeah, actually, it makes sense. You don't even need it. Like you have your 2 witchcraft spells, you have your 2 occultism spells. You take the extra spell with the book. It's fine. And you have the roll battle. It's fine." Which is quite fair. Like, do you need the number 5 and 6 occultism on your dictator? Not really. Do you need the number 5 and 6 on witchcraft? Not really. Secrets of the Doomblade, veterans. We have the supporting core. See, there's also an extra unit here, right? Well, it feels like an extra unit with the Vermin 3 lights going to 20 instead of 15. 8 more Miller Brutes once again. We have a Fetish Brute party over here. I think that, well, they are worse than the Momillos, but they have like specific targets to go for. Strength 4 holds them a bit back, I think. But in terms of just normal combat units, 500 points for 30 resilience 5 wins is not too bad. Latvia, Vermin Swarm, and extra Swarm. He stole the priest from Italy. Look at that. No Doomblade, no Assassin, so that is something different. Double experimental weapon teams with the supporting prefects. So he's going full shooting. Some people will like that, some people will not. And then combat wise, we have a black first. We have 6 Momillos only, so not 8. And we have the Plague Disciples. I think they're still frenzied, right? I guess. Yeah. It's a shooting focus, but it's like you can't really build a full shooting list with Vermin Swarm anymore. And this is basically the proof. Like if you could, you would still see a lot more shooting in there. Luxembourg, Ruinous Dictator, 2 priests. Cuts of the Doomblade, Blackfest. The 8 more melee brutes are back. I like this unit. Like the 20 Plague Disciples. In a lot of situations, it's sufficient to stay steadfast. If you go for support units with the Bell of the Deep Roads, you can do that. So I really like this unit specifically, and I think other teams should have picked up on that as well. Double rifles. I've never seen these on the table, so I don't know. Philip, we have the magic setup, we have the Doomblade, we have a spear swarm on a spear. Can you put that on a spear? That is insane. That's cool. But does it still trigger out the agility of your spear? I think so, because that is when you make your attacks with your weapon, so yeah. 40 black first. This is a nifty little upgrade to your black first, because it gives you an extra, I don't know, 8 attacks or so. Mamillas, Plague Disciples. Are Plague Disciples better or worse than Mamillas? They're good because they're different and they cost nothing at all. This is a good list as well. Compared to the French one was good as well. French one was a bit more combat focused. Generally, the strength of Vermin Swarm lies more in combat than anywhere else, so maybe the French one. Alexander has first time that we don't see the Big Rat Ruinous Dictator. Triumphal platform Bloodfur Legate, that is a very cool choice, and it makes the Momillas more scary, I believe. It's, I would like to play this army just to see how this works, because I haven't had the chance to see it really. And I think a lot of people will be surprised. I think this is the best core setup. I think this is what you should go for, yeah. And your wizards might die, yeah, sure, whatever, don't care too much. Like, you can also play them single even in your backlines, right? What is wrong with that? Or take twice 10 giant rats and just put your wizards in there. or use these still as chaff. But Jizils and rifles both. That is quite efficient apparently too. You can set up your list in such a way that you can fit both of this in. That's good. Serbia, Dictator, Priests, Assassins. 60 Legionnaires, that is the biggest units we've seen so far. 25 doesn't seem big enough. Doesn't seem big enough. This does. They're in special, I guess. I would say this is a less strong list. Don't know about the ordnance, because they do not perform that well nowadays. You miss some. You can lose combats and not be steadfast anymore. That is a problem. I don't think this list in general will work very well. Spain, we have full on black first. Let's go. Let's do it off meta and let's go. Don't know if 25 is enough, but then again, after having already 3 units, the fourth doesn't need to be that big, maybe. And otherwise, it's the same list as everybody else uses. Switzerland, this is the same. Oh no. Secrets of the Tomb. Oh no, I don't want. This is new. To get a little bit of extra discipline in there, I guess. Make it a bit more reliable. No black first, but legionnaires instead. Are they good enough? Don't think so. You have to rely on the wheel turns to make them good enough. Plague disciples still have to rely on the wheel turns. If your opponent has a binding scroll, then it's gonna be a tough one, maybe. Otherwise, quite decent, but he's missing some strength. And the spears and the blood boxes. It's all very focused on strength 3, which can be not sufficient. Turkey. We have a dictator, 2 priests. Big unit, very big unit of black furs. That will last you a lifetime. Mamillos, yeah. And then the triple cannon. Yeah, so this is, it's also a solid list. Nothing too special there. And that was Vermin Swarm. Last one, Warriors of the Dark Gods. Unless I missed a Vermin Swarm. No. Warriors of the Dark Gods. Argentina has Warriors of the Dark Gods. There we go. Exalted Herald, Feldrock Ancestor. And Wizard Master Sorcerer. So the magic in Warriors is a bit more straightforward. You take a Wizard Master, and then if you want, you take some extra to support and that, but normally you don't really have to. What you do take to support can be an Exalted Herald. Exalted Heralds, 810 points. Some matchups are insanely good, some matchups are not that good. Mostly if you face a lot of just cheap wounds, then they're not that good. Because they're good at removing expensive wounds, I find. So like with Sorcerer Immortal, you can take Martyr Doom Grave Calls to hunt expensive characters and then combat. Like 6 strength 5 is not good enough generally, so you want to take the extra strength and early avatar. But you also want to take the stomp generally. So it's an expensive piece. Combat wise, it does perform quite well though, but it is dicey. It doesn't have any innate buffs. It doesn't ignore parry, so there's some downsides. Feldrick Ancestor. I want to play with one of those, but I'm never convinced by a model that cannot fly that is so expensive. Like with the Herald, you can still choose to fly. Still a downside that innately it doesn't fly. It can just be chaffed really easily. Hey, the warriors with great weapons, Wrath and the Zealous Banner, they strike quite hard if they get to strike. It's expensive though, right? 750 points. I think it can perform quite well in some matchups where basically the opponent doesn't do enough damage in combat and then you get the strike back, or you strike first, then it does quite well. There's a lot of flexibility. This is the reason why you take warriors. Why 20 teams or something? How many teams do we have? Take warriors. More than 20. It's just a really solid army. Just because in combat you just perform in a solid way. Exalted and a Feldrock. So double Exalted seems to be out of the equation. Sorcerers on Alchemy, just because Word of Iron is really good for warriors. Barbarian Horseman core. Yeah, I think you're gonna see a lot of different variations in the core setup for warriors. Because some people are convinced by the horsemen and others are not. Utility-wise, they're great units. In combat, I don't think they perform well enough. Like, they can handle a support unit, but even a unit of archers, like 15 Sylvan archers, they will strike before you, they will kill 2 guys, 3 guys, then they will stay steadfast. Next round they will kill the remaining horsemen, and then that's that. I think Feldrock Ancestor and Feldrock Elder together, that is quite an investment in anti-flying zoning tools. Also, the Feldrock Ancestor together with the Exalted Herald means that if you take the flying manifestations, you cannot fly because you're not allowed to fly because of the Ancestor. I'm a bit less convinced by such a big investment into the second models. And the chosen chariots are not good enough. 300 points for it. You can take a warrior chariot and it's just as good. It's not worth it. Pierre, he plays a chosen lord on a dragon. Let's go. 665 is quite a solid deal for a dragon that can march 18 inches. It's quite far. It's too far to be honest. Barbarian chiefs on wasteland behemoths. Are they good enough? They have a too big footprint, I would say. Yeah. You bring quite a lot of decent wounds. Like this is resilience 6, resilience 6, 6, and resilience 5. So your opponent and resilience 6. So your opponent doesn't have that many targets to go for out of resilience 5 or higher. And you are still very mobile, so that works to your advantage. So, but I also played this into like double cannon matchups, and that is just horrible. And you lose a big monster every single turn, and nothing you can do about it. Check your wow, Feldrock Ancestors are everywhere. I missed the boat there. We have warriors in core. What was the previous core? Barbarian Horsemen, Fallen, Warhounds, chaff, full of chaff. Here we have a unit of warriors, vanilla warriors, 17. 17 is not enough. It's a weird amount because either you would go 10 for a somewhat combat unit, or you would go for 20. 17 is not enough. I don't understand this one. I guess he goes into the Warriors, but then he ignores the first hit. Yeah, great. For Chosen Knights, double Chosen Knights, people know how to deal with those by now, I think. This is, by the way, a mistake if you have great weapons on all your elders, because there's situations where you want to strike fast still. So even a hand weapon would have been better on one of these guys. Adam Jones, so Warrior Knights galore. We have Bright Knights. I have played around with Bright Knights of units of 5 and they work quite well because you charge in, you stick, and next round you still stick, and you just try to grind it out, and it goes quite well with Bright because you don't break. Don't know if you need units of 9 though. But I think it's more of a fluff type army than anything else. Chosen Lord's gonna do quite some heavy lifting there. Being in the unit, he cannot be targeted, which is nice. Very important. I don't value it anymore. Just because you're stuck at strength 5, so you have to take the idol to get the strength 6 one turn. And then still the wounds you do is D3 wounds, not multiple wounds too. So you can just roll once on. There's so much variation going on. Like you have 6 attacks with the idol. You don't ignore parries, so sometimes it's 4+2 hit, then you have strength 6, so 3+2 wound probably. It's 2 wounds. People can still save with Aegises because you're not divine. Not bad then. Solid unit. Quite expensive though. It's gonna be cool to see this on the table though, all the nights. So Warriors of the Dark Gods has a high variation in lists. However, a list like this we did see from Belgium with the double Wasteland Beam of Doomlord on there as a change. I think it gives some extra damage output, but generally it's not really considered worth it. Wasteland Dragon with Sloth, attaboy. Then we have magic-wise. You have a Wizard Apprentice on Avocation, you have a Book of Arcane Mastery, you have a Rod of Battle, and you have the Giant with the Familiar. The Giant with the Familiar suffers from the Familiar. It's a downgrade. It's really a downgrade compared to the Ogre Club or the Giant Club. Warriors with Zealots. That's quite a popular choice, apparently. Maybe I should have joined the bandwagon. No, I'm good. Feldrax with Albert's Feldrax, 400 points for 3 of them. It's still quite expensive, isn't it? I've been quite tempted to also run 4 for Sworn with Great Weapons with Damnation, but again, they don't really do that much. Even though in some matchups I really wished I had them. Just 2 units instead of the Chosen that I have. Could have been nice. Double Exalted Herald. Big blocks of Barbarians, just to stay steadfast. Doesn't really combine well with the Heralds to have Barbarians, I find. Unless you get stubborn on the Heralds, but then it feels like a forced upgrade, so you don't have that much flexibility anymore. But it is a list that works, doesn't have to lose that many points itself. Chosen with Greed are solid. And Feldrax are solid with great weapons. It's quite amazing at how much damage these guys do against flyers, like a dragon or something. Because the dragon goes in, doesn't do more than 7 wounds, so you will get the 3 Feldrax that strike back. That's 10 attacks with hatred and great weapons. I should have picked up on that earlier. This is my list. I have chosen and I teleport them with Helmos, and I have a dragon. So generally it works quite well. If I see the mobility of some of the other warriors lists, then It is tempting as well, but this value is just such great value. Because otherwise you would get like 4 Feldraks for the same price as 10 chosen. So. New Zealand, we have a Chosen Lord on a War Days. First time we see that, it's because it's not mobile enough. Gluttony, so he goes in with the Warriors. That's going to be quite a brick. It's going to go toe to toe with all these Tegu guard and other big combat units, Necro guards, whatever. Chosen, and the Hammer. So compared to me, he took the Warrior Knights for some extra mobility. Makes sense. It's nice to have something that pushes away the enemy a bit. I think I would have gone for the 4 Feldraks with the great weapons instead to get more of an answer that your chosen cannot handle. And then again, things that 10 chosen handle. It's nearly everything in any book, so. I think it's a mistake to go for greed because sloth feels just better. Because you also get the sloth bonus when you're not in combat. And you are not in combat quite a lot of the time chosen. Like you have 2 combats, 3 combats per unit per game. Outside of that, you're not in combat. Norway, we have a wizard master on occultism. We have a wizard adept on alchemy. So this guy's actually playing the ranged damage battle with Phil Walker as well. I did try it out, not convinced, just because of the swinginess of occultism mostly. Chosen Lord with Spiked Shield, and very important, and Sloth, and Demonic Wings. This is like a anti-synergy. It goes into a unit of Chosen. This guy is as expensive as a unit of Chosen, which is why I took a unit of Chosen extra. Yeah, it's an interesting type of list, right? It's suddenly people are playing Helmors and Chosen. It's really a change from last year. Just because the favors got readjusted in terms of price, and Sloth is now free. Greed is cheaper, I believe, and Chosen in general are cheaper. There were people predicting that players would be really good in this type of list, but you don't really see them because they don't do sufficient. Like you don't have a ranged game, so you don't solve that by having 10 players. So it's just a weakness that you have to accept. Chosen Lord on the Dragon, that's the 3rd dragon we see, and we didn't see any in the last year, I believe. Wasteland Behemoth as well, said to be one of the worst choices of the book, but we still see a couple of those. And then the Wrath Warrior block. Don't know if it is really worth it, because it seems so expensive at 802 points. It's just movement 4 infantry, right? So if you play this, I would definitely play Elmo. Just to have the option. Units of 3 Feldraks. I like the 4th one in the unit. Doesn't seem enough. But it is more sturdy than Warrior Knights. The only downside is that they fail discipline tests. Barry Lynch, Chosen Lord on War Dice, that's the 2nd one. He doesn't have a... oh, he does. Gluttony. Touch of Greatness, paired weapon, so you go to Strength 6 and you go Strength 7 with Gluttony. It's It's funny how what the type of builds that you see, like Spirit Weapon, Statue of Greatness, Gluttony is also quite solid. Yeah? Yep. So Gluttony Warriors, Chosen Knights. Chosen Knights seem awesome, and maybe I should have included Chosen Knights instead of one unit of Chosen, just to get some extra mobility. But I mean, compared to Chosen, this is 20 wounds, this is 15 wounds, so yeah. But damage output, this is way less in damage output than this. So against non-warriors of the Dark Gods units, I think Chosen are better because the Chosen Knights, they just invest a bit more in grindiness and defense, and that mostly works against combat focused armies. Slovenia, so another dragon, wow, so many dragons. With the Weird Stone, I think this is the best upgrade for your dragon, because it just ignores that first cannon shot or Marked for Doom or any one-hit wonder. Yeah, I'm coming back on my decision for the third unit of Chosen. I think I should have taken 4 Feldrogs with great weapons. Exalted Herald, yep, makes sense. This is very similar to the Swiss list. But then that guy adds another Herald. Warriors with great weapon, Wrath. This one's quite popular. Seems expensive for what it does. The Chosen Chariots, I don't understand it. Because you go in, you have d6 plus 1 impacts, you have 6 attacks, and then otherwise you have 5 wounds that are very vulnerable to Quicksilver Lash, and cannons, and bolt throwers, and whatever. And the rest of your army, like, you do want to protect your Herald from that type of shooting, so they are going to be the target number 1. Small unit of Chosen, don't value it, because they need to be able to do 2 rounds of combat, I would say. Like, compared to, you don't get any benefit with 5 Chosen over regular warriors. So if you take just 10 warriors, you have the same amount of wounds. If you take great weapons on them, you are going to get 15 attacks. This unit gets 15 attacks. There's no benefit. Other than that you are less wide. But you can take this from core. If you just make this 10 warriors, then you're there. So yeah, I think this is not as good as most of the lists, but that might be my opinion. Exalted Herald, we have a Sorcerer with Master Alchemy. For Sweden, and the Fallen, I don't understand if you don't. I just understand them as a magic bunker because they're not mobile enough to really be chaff, so you might as well take Warhounds instead then. They never see combat realistically. Chosen Knights are solid, Chosen are solid. One Helmar. He has a lot of stuff that doesn't really need to be there, like the Fallen you don't really need. The horsemen with the paired weapons are not. I would say that the great weapons are still better. And then the Chimera. I used to value a Chimera quite highly. In the end, it just dies. But it is better than a Chosen Chariot, I guess. Because it can march and it can block stuff. It's just a chaff monster. So I would have gone more MSU with this, with another Chimera. Maybe some flayers in there, some great weapons on these guys. These guys are out. Put in a decent unit instead. Switzerland, so double Exalted Herald. Wizard Apprentice, Avocation. for the reroll to hit, reroll to wound. Is there anything? Yeah, that's for the barbarians mostly. Relentless Banner Barbarians is just solid for 300 points, 40 wins. It's solid in Warriors. Sometimes they don't really perform like you want to, but it's fine. Chosen Chariots on last are a no-go for me because they don't do enough. So for me personally, this is not the best matchup. But otherwise, yeah. Like the real combat power has to come from the heralds, or at least they have to contribute to the game. That is a problem with heralds in general. So I would really have included a champion maybe on these guys, because there's gonna be situations where you're gonna get fed champions and you don't get through stuff. But it is an interesting list to play because you have quite some mobility in there, and that can perform quite well. Turkey. We have a general alchemy. No other characters. That is so. What are we gonna put down in terms of units that makes that worth it? We have a big block of gluttony warriors. Gluttony makes sense from a combat damage perspective, but then you might as well take indeed Wrath with great weapons, I guess. 6 Feldrox with great weapons, and that is gonna hurt flyers mostly. Otherwise, you're stuck with your 3+, 4+ to wound to hit. Why Knights in big units? I don't think they're worth it. Just because they still have some weaknesses and they still have to make sure that everyone goes into combat. So I would not value them that highly, especially with Wrath, because then they go to a 2-up save. So someone can just put on the corner of your unit something like a single model cowboy, and then your unit's just completely neutered. Feldrock Elders with great weapons, solid picks. Yeah, solid. But maybe I would prefer 3 Feldrocks instead with great weapons. I don't know. Seems bad. What else do we have? We have Artan. Oh wait, a Chosen Lord on a Chariot. That's the first one. And we see another one. I have played double Chosen Lord Chariot, double Elmo. But then you really need the Helmos to teleport them around, because they can be chaffed, and that is a big issue. Being chaffed is not good for your Chosen Lord, because then your opponent gets to decide on or react to what you do. And that is not good. So I would have included at least one Elmo here. It's the first Forsaken one. Forsaken ones give people generally quite some headaches, but nobody includes them apparently. Going for the more reliable, more controlled. It's easy to see, right? So more controlled Feldrock Elders. USA, Mike Mattox. Feldrock Ancestor with supernatural dex on the bad weapons. It's a solid choice, even though it is expensive. I could have gone for that as well instead of a dragon, but the dragon flies. You know, flying is such a boost. So I guess this guy has an extra wound over a dragon. It's also good, but it's just one wound, right? Wizard Master Alchemy. I have played with a ledger, and then I realized I didn't want to invest in magic, so I ended up with a 350 point magic phase or something. Otherwise, for the more magic focused armies, I would have expected the ledger way more often, just to push it over. It's an interesting take on warriors. Like these fallen units, I don't expect to contribute that much. Warhound Chaff is solid. chosen, and then warrior knights. So 9 chosen, same price as 10 warrior knights. Warrior knights 1 wound each, chosen 2 wounds each. Damage output is better for the chosen. It's like twice as much, if not 3 times as much. But this gives you threat range. Yeah. And then we have a warrior knight spam list that works in some matchups, but it is really pairing dependent. What else do we have? Maybe the last one? Oh, this is the first one. So the last one was the warrior knights. Poof! That was all of the lists. Which one's my favorite out of everything? I have no clue, man. Was there anything that really stood out? Different armies. So Dread Elf list that was interesting. Highborn Elves was kind of boring. Dwarves had some nice variations. Empire was kind of boring, to be honest. Ogres, Elves, Undying Dynasties. Undying Dynasties is just so solid. Dread Elves had some interesting monster builds. I like some of the Vampire Covenant ones, but I think I like the Undying Dynasties more. And I think I should have included 4 Veldraks in my army instead of the last unit of chosen the great weapons. It's a shame, I should have done that. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, this I like this list. This is good. Like the MSU Saurian Ancients. Maybe that is one of my favorites. Like I'm not gonna take a Team Netherlands list. So I guess it's the one from Guy, yeah. Just because it also plays in a way that I like. So whereas it's not as polarizing as MSU Dwarfs. So it does still give your opponent a game. I didn't see this one, did I? Oh, oh jeez. Oh, we still have some more. Horse. So this list 4 warrior chariots. That's cool. This is what we used to play last year, basically, like max warrior chariots, max small units of warrior knights, 2 units of chosen, but small with pride. Pride's really good on warriors in general, just to anchor up something is really good. Yeah, it's a good list. This can perform really well. The only thing you need is a beat stick, like in this list particularly, you need the Chosen Lord, I think, with the Chosen Lord with the spiked shield and burning portent. There was another list that had double armor on this one. Why did I not find this list? Golds. This army is gold. Okay, so I play gold. We didn't see this one yet. War Days, Pride. Yay, someone else found the Pride Warriors. They are way too good. And someone else has a magic face. That is, wow, his magic face is cheaper than mine. Because I still have a Rod of Battle. Oh, he has it there. I still have an Icon of the Infinite because I thought this was just a little bit too little. Pride Warrior is good. Fallen, you don't need them for your sorcerer because this guy can just go into barbarians. That's a matter of preference, really. 8 chosen, Times 2 double Elmo. This looks really like my list. And the battle shrine can go in the chosen. Gives some extra magic as well. Makes the units not even that much more expensive. A bit though. And then double chosen chariot. Compared to me, he misses a dragon, which is quite funny. And the third unit of chosen. So I was also looking at some chosen chariots, and then I was like, well, might as well take the extra unit of chosen, which I think by now should have been a unit of Feldrax, and just accept the fact that they sometimes miss their discipline. But then you have a bit more threat range as well. Yeah, it's I know it's a solid list, but I feel like he misses one unit, either a dragon or an extra combat unit, because these are anchors, but um, they don't do enough damage themselves. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Well, see you at the ETC, or don't see you at the ETC, depending on whether you're gonna be there or not. I'm really excited to play my list and meet all of you guys. So thanks for watching, and I will see you then next time.